don't know about this angle, but we're just gonna go with it because I need to film these videos. Okay. Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and if you hear shouting in the background, it's Andrew, who's in the next room over on a video game being ridiculous. But anyway, this video is about all the books that I've DNF'd this far this year. I know this is kind of late for a mid-year video, but I'm behind on everything in life, so why make this any different? And so these are all the books that I've kept track of that I've DNF'd, but I often start things and put them down physically, or even an ebook or an audiobook, especially from like Scribd. And then I just not return them, but like I'm like, never mind, I want to listen to it. So is this all of them? Probably not, but this is a good majority. Also, I just want to say that I would like to thank Surfshark for sponsoring this video. They are a VPN, a virtual private network that I've been using for years now, and I'm riding with them because they're riding with me and protecting my shit, my information, allowing me to access different content in different countries. And they partner with different companies for different things. Like recently there was something I signed up for to start removing a lot of my data from random websites on the internet, and they just are always coming out with new features and new options, very affordable, and I'm gonna keep rocking with them, like I said. And if you don't have a virtual private network, I don't know why, because it's sketchy out here, especially if you're hopping onto public Wi-Fi in these streets. In the year of our Lord 2023, don't do it without being protected. So if you want to use my code, which I forgot, I think it's just my name, you save like a ridiculous, I think it's like 83%, and then you get like 3 free months. It's kind of crazy, but don't ask questions, just do it, just sign up, just click the link, it'll be down below. Save you that money and also save your information, okay? It is wild out here in these streets, you can never be too safe. So thank you to Surfshark. Back to this video about these DNFs. And some of these are like hardcore, never picking up again, and some of them I'm like, right now, this book isn't for me, right? So let's go over them. Some I have a reason why, and some I don't. Well, actually I do, and the reason is because I wasn't feeling it. And that's enough. You don't have to explain any further than that. So sadly, first up is A Master of Jinn, and this is a recent DNF. I got about almost 50% into the book. I was listening to the audiobook, and at first I was having a really good time. I think like the first 20-30% I was really into it. I really love the setting of this world. It's like Cairo in the 1920s, but is it, I don't know if you would call it, but there's magic, there's jinn, they have like these trams, there's like this ministry who watches over and like manages and whatever, like magical things that happen, and our main character is like one of the investigators or whatever for that ministry. And I really enjoy the novellas that came before this. I almost think that they could have been a little longer, but then this book could have been shorter. I think it should have been a novella also, just longer than the first two, because after that 30% mark I started being like, okay, like, are we gonna get to the point? And it starts out with like these men, all these white men in Cairo, who have this like secret society based on this figure, and then they all are like murdered. So it's like, oh, what happened? So we're trying to figure out what that is, if this figure is real, have they come back? And it gets to a point, like I feel like 40 or 50%, and I'm like, okay, now this seems like where we're setting up to start, you know, kind of the end of the story, but it's like just the middle, and I'm like, what else is there? And I had heard this critique from a lot of people that it was too long and it kind of dragged. And with the reading mood I'm in right now, I just was like, I can't do it. I cannot finish the rest of this. It makes me so sad. If there's another book in the series, I might give it a chance. But I think that this would have been better if it was a novella. And I mean, just generally, I want everything to be shorter. I want movies to be shorter. I want books to be shorter. I want work days to be shorter. So like sadness. Another one was The Nanny, and this was a romance that I was reading. My friend had recommended it to me, and it started out really good. Like I was reading this, but this was like months ago, and I started reading it, got it from the library. I was like really into it. I got to like 50% mark and was returned to the library. I was like, fuck. And so, but then I never, like I requested it again, got back on the waiting list, and then it came back in and I was like, do I care? And I decided no, because I was enjoying this. So the premise is there's a single dad and she becomes a nanny for his daughter. And of course, yada, 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 it's a romance. They're gonna end up together. And at first I was really into it, but then it kept being like nothing but sex scenes, which is fine, but it's just not what, lately I haven't been in the mood really for those in romance. The romances I've read, I've kind of skimmed over those. I don't know why, but it just has been how I've been feeling. And so there were so many, and then I was reading reviews that it's like just sex scene after sex scene after sex scene. I'm like, I think I enjoy those usually, but I also want the story, the connection between the characters. Because if I just want that, I can read an erotica. But if I'm reading a romance, like sure, that's an added bonus, but I really want the story of the characters. And so that I read those from reviews. I already wasn't feeling super motivated to pick it up again. So I was like, whatever. I just returned it, let the next person read it. So sadness, I did get 50% through it, and maybe it did turn, the tide did turn, but I'm fine not knowing. I also DNF'd 10,000 Stitches by Olivia Atwater, which makes me sad because I really loved Half a Soul. And I knew that the second one, so this is the second one in the series, but it's not following the same couple. And I already knew that, and I was weary because I really wanted to follow that couple. But I was like, I'm gonna give this one a chance anyway. And I don't know how far I got into it, 35%. But I just was like, okay, like I just didn't care. Let's see, what did I say? I DNF'd, so that I was listening to the, or no. I was reading the ebook and then I got the audio and tried to listen as long as I could, but it wasn't giving me cozy or whimsy. It just was giving me, because this one, it starts off a lot with like these housemaids in England, but the person who's in charge wants them to be like French housemaids. And this one is really, I think when I was reading comments, is there's more commentary on like, you know, how the rich are treating their like help and stuff, and like not like that's bad, it's just not what I wanted in this. I just wanted another kind of like cozy whimsical romance story, and that's not what I got. So I just was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and exit while I'm ahead. Sad day indeed. Then The Last to Vanish by Megan Miranda. I've read 2 mysteries by Megan Miranda before that I really did enjoy. And so I was like, oh, okay. I think I was driving home and I had the audiobook maybe from Libro FM. And I was like, okay, perfect, I'll listen. And this, obviously, usually with mysteries, they start good where they're setting up the premise of what happened. And this is like this small hotel in the mountains. Is it in North Carolina? And a lot of people come there for like the hiking and stuff, but they've unfortunately over the years had some people go missing. And so this guy's coming to do research into his brother, who is like one of the most recent people who went missing from this hotel, or that's like where they were last seen. Then they were going on the trail and they disappeared. So I was liking the atmosphere of this small town where everyone knows everyone, and like, but what's happening? Is there like something happening in the woods? Is there like a serial killer, whatever? And I just kept listening for that reason, but I just was like, there's not much going on. And at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep listening because I wanna know what happens at the end, like what happened to these people. But I just kept going and I was like, okay, we're just going day in, day out. And I love the small town atmosphere, but I don't need the day in, day out. I need us to, we set it up. Okay, we've got the setting, and now I need us to get into the meat of the story. And again, this is my problem with so many books, and I'm sure that, you know, maybe it did have a satisfying ending, but I need things to be shorter. I need us to get to the point. All this meandering, no. So I was like, I don't even know what percentage. Let's say 41%. I told myself I was gonna look at, maybe try to find a spoiler review and find what happened, and then I didn't. So, and now I don't care. So there's that. I hate this for me. Another one, which I don't know if I saw anyone like mutually here or on Instagram or anything talk about this book, but it's called Lights All Night Long by Lydia Fitzpatrick. This might have been something I saw via Book Talk, which usually leads me astray. I DNF'd this one at 35%. It's another audiobook that I was trying, or no, 25%. And it starts out as like very interesting. This family has basically like taken in this young dude from Ukraine, I think. And they're like this super, you know, they're like this Christian family, we're helping someone out. But he has, you know, a troubled past. His brother went to prison for maybe a murder that he didn't commit. And the dude who's living with his family, he's like kind of got a crush on the daughter. And I was like, okay, where's this going? And then it just kept not going anywhere fast enough for my liking. Again, all of these books might eventually get there, but they were not happening on the speed of which I need. I was like, no, no, no. I also was listening to this while driving a 13-hour trip. Like, I was making the drive back in one day and I needed something to keep my attention, not lull me to sleep. So I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't know. I haven't really heard many people talk about it. I didn't. Again, I was like, oh, I'll just look up what happens at the end. I haven't. I don't care now. Moving along. Don't got time. Another sad one, Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Yes, I know, TJ Klune, blah, blah, blah. Please don't come at me in the comments. Be quiet. I already own the book. And so I was like, okay, I am struggling to read with my eyeballs, so I'm going to listen to the audiobook. And I already knew that people who read House on the Cerulean Sea, I know the controversy around it, okay? And then read Under the Whispering Door. There was a lot of mixed feelings about whether people loved it as much. And I don't think so, but some people still really enjoyed it. So one of my friends, Carrie, did. So I was listening, and first I'm like, okay, very cute promise. This guy dies, and we're getting basically the story of his like in between before he goes to the afterlife, which is really cute. It's like at this like coffee shop place, and these different people that are gonna help him, you know, on his journey, whatever. And I think there's eventually a queer love story between the guy who died and then a guy who like is this like innkeeper, or he's kind of like the guide to the dead. I don't know what you would call him. Again, I just was like, let's move on. Let's get it moving. Because at first, interested, he dies, how he gets here, him dealing with it, him trying to accept all these things. I'm here for it. The different people that he's interacting with. Okay, there's a doggy, love the doggy. But then I was like, okay. And we weren't moving. We were meandering. And I was like, I don't have time for this, TJ. And I gave it until 60%. I gave it until 60%, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up. And then I was reading reviews, and it confirmed my suspicions. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. And I just had to let go and let God, you know? Sorry to you. No, sorry to who? I don't think I ever bought it. Did I? I thought I owned it. Wait, did I not own it? I just borrowed it from the library. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I started reading it and I DNF'd it. That's all y'all need to know. Shit. Another sad one, and this was a novella, and this is definitely one that's more of a soft DNF and something I want to retry, but as an audiobook, and it's Black God's Drums by T.P. Jelly Clark. I think it was just me in the mood because it is a novella and I was interested in the story and where it was going, but I just like could not finish reading with my eyeballs. So it's something I definitely want to come back to via audio because I heard the audio is really good. A House of Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I started and then I was bored. I literally can't even tell you what I can't, like, what, how far did I even get? 24%. I don't even remember what this is supposed to do, but again, this said gothic, and I said I'm a quarter way through and nothing has happened. I don't even know what the plot is supposed to be. So this is just reconfirming. I'd read this because a friend said to read it, but this is just reconfirming that gothic horror is not for I. And I'm not sure if T. Kingfisher is for me, although they do have like strictly fantasy works that I have not tried yet. So I'm willing to give those a try, but me and gothic, gothic television show, Gothic movie, yes. Gothic book, nar. And I just need to, I know myself, okay? And I need to listen to that and just know that it's not going to be my ministry. So, how to let it go. Okay, Air of Uncertain Magic. This made me sad because this was the second book after, I don't know if it's just a duology or if it's gonna be more than that, but in Wimbrel House. So the first one was called, I don't remember, look here. It was like Keeper of Enchanted House or something. That was the first one. And I really enjoyed that one. It was like a whimsical, cozy, like a slow burn romance with a magical house and like trying to figure out what's going on. I really liked that one. So the second one I saw on Kindle and I was like, oh, well, let me read that one. And I DNF'd this at 38%. I just wasn't invested enough to continue. I wish the first one was kind of just a standalone and they wrapped it up there. I know there's kind of like lingerings with like the romantic element. But this one I was just listening to and I was just like, I don't care. I've just been like, I'm sure it ends up being fine, but it just wasn't enough for me to keep going. And so I just said, never mind. It's a struggle out here for me, y'all. I am not having a good time. Okay, then recently a book that I borrowed from the library, the ebook, because I saw it on like, I don't know what the fuck I was looking up, but I saw this as some like disturbing book about kind of like women being used as baby farms essentially, and it's called The Farm by Joanna Ramos. And I, to be fair, did not get too far into this one, but I still don't care. I was bored and I was like, let's get to it, let's start, like at least grab me in the first part and then you can slow down, at least then, because then maybe I'm intrigued enough to continue. But you can't be slow out the gate, dog. I need the disturbing, I need the creepy, I need the morbid up front. And it wasn't giving that, so I said, bye-bye. I don't have time. I keep going into things like Tender is the Flesh, and maybe, you know, that just didn't work for me. It did for a lot of people. And in this book, The Farm, and I want them to be disturbing and I want them to be dark. And I don't know, maybe that says something about me, that I'm not finding these things disturbing or dark, and other people are, but they're not doing it for me. And so I said, deuces. Okay, Confessions. This was I don't know if you consider this a thriller, a mystery. I think it's by a Japanese author, and I've heard of this one. This was I've had this one on my list for a while and finally got to it. And I think it's more the structure of this story, because it's basically like this teacher talking to her students. It's her like last day of teaching, and she basically just starts, she just literally is just saying all these confessions. It's just like this never ending, just like la, 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 la. And apparently it's told in there's three parts, but it's like the same story told from 3 points of view. And I just like couldn't even get through her point of view because I think the method of storytelling was just not working for me. And I was like, I couldn't find an audiobook. Apparently there's an audiobook. My library doesn't have it. I don't know if I'm invested enough to buy the audiobook. And I just was like, I'm sure there's some interesting things that she ends up confessing, but I'm not gonna figure out what they are because I don't have time. This makes you sound so demented, but I'm just so I'm just not patient these days. I just don't, I have not been able to read as much. I'm like, we gotta pick it up, okay? And these are not. Okay, Nemesis Games, which was the 5th book in the Expanse series. I made a video about this a few weeks ago about my thoughts on if you should read the Expanse books or watch the show or both or blah, blah, blah. And so I DNF'd this one, even though a lot of people under that video were like, no, you should keep reading it because there's like a time jump in the rest of the series that isn't covered in the show. And so I don't know. It's not like they're terrible. It's just like the books seem to keep being repetitive, and just like the issue of that book is different, which is fine. But my reason for even continuing after Leviathan Wakes, is that what it's called, is because I want the story. I want to follow the crew of the Rossi, and in the books, you are not with them the whole time, and neither are you in the show. But I feel like the show, it's easier to jump back and forth from perspectives, so you get more of them than you do in the books. And so I'm just torn. You know, I'm torn. And that one is a different one where we get POVs that are not just from Holden. We get POVs with Amos because he goes like back to Earth, to where he grew up, and also with Alex and I think Naomi. And so that has made me be like, maybe. So it's not a hard DNF, maybe, but not anytime soon, not right now. I'll just continue watching the show. Let's see. We're getting towards the end, I promise. Oh my God, 20 minutes. Ray Bear, I'm so sorry, Ray, but I just was like reading it and I could just like never focus. I think I got to like page 100. 100? Did I get to page 100? I don't know. I just was like, and I just like kept trying to read it and I just was like, again. Me and reading, we're struggling. And so who knows, in another life or maybe years down the road, I'm gonna come back to some of these books and be like, oh my God, what was I thinking? These are amazing. But right now, they are not working for me. I can't really tell you. I don't remember what Ray Bear is about. I don't remember what I didn't like. I just know that I was like, never mind. And I put it in my unhauled pile. I'm so sorry, Ray. I'm sorry. Wayward Pines by Blake Crouch. I read the first one, Pines, and I had a really good time. I thought it was really fun. And so I started the second one and I just was like, do I care? That's the theme of this video. Do I care? And the answer was no. And so I just stopped reading it. I think I was like 30 or something % through the audiobook and I just was like, I don't care. That's all. Then I have The Push, and this one is definitely something I want to get back to. I was trying to read it physically and I was kind of going slowly. I got returned to the library and I've been wanting to get back to it because it was very weird. But also I wonder if I should listen to the audiobook just because. So that's one I want to try again because I've heard good things about it. That's a very interesting book. So I want to try it again. Just I don't know when. The Final Strife. Now this is one I don't remember if I DNF'd it this year or if it was the end of last year, because what is time? I'm not sure. So if it was last year, pretend you didn't hear that, but I still have not picked it up again. This is another one I softly DNF'd. I'm torn because of things I've heard, but I have friends who really liked it, and then I know some other people who DNF'd it like me because they were like, is this girl gonna be on drugs the whole time? But I really love the covers, so I'm gonna at least attempt it one more time. Maybe I'll get the audio. Maybe that's the moral of the story, is I just need the audio for every book I read. Okay, two last ones. Annie Up by Christina C. Jones, which makes me sad. It's the first Christina C. Jones I've ever DNF'd. I don't know if it's a hard DNF. This one just takes place in Las Vegas, and the main character is centered a lot around, or at least it started with her at the casino a lot and talking about like, you know, card games, and I was like, I don't care about this part. And so I need to ask someone if that's like a main thing throughout the whole book, like we keep getting that, because if so, then I definitely don't want to pick it back up. But if not, if that's just the beginning, then I could kind of like push through that and read the rest, because I always love a Christina C. Jones book. But this, I was like, I don't know why that was like making me, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to read about her at the table with the dice. I don't know any kind of games. I don't know the gambling terminology, but I just was like not interested. So may give that a try, may not. And the last one is Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. The first story was okay, and like I got it. And then the next one I was like, and then the next one I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It's literally like 60 pages of summaries of SVU episodes, and I don't get it. And then I tried to read the next one after that, and I was like, this is not for me. Her writing is not for me. No. I really didn't like it, and I don't get it. But at this point, I don't want to get it. I don't care. There's some people who really think Carmen Maria Machado is like a masterful genius, and I love that for them. But for me, no thank you. And for a while I wanted to understand the SVU story, and now I don't. So if you explain it in the comments, I love that for you, but I'm not gonna read it. I don't. Why? Let me stop asking why, because why implies that I want an answer. I don't. It's just not for me. But now we're at 25 minutes. Holy cow. So those are the books that I've kept track of, that I have DNF this year. If you have watched this whole video and you don't know what that means did not finish, gave up, quit, did not reach the finish line because I didn't want to. So please let me know, are you a DNFer? What have you DNF'd this year, if you've DNF'd anything? And are any of these books that I didn't say I was gonna give a second try, are any of them you think I should? I may take it into consideration, I may not. I don't know, no guarantees. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This video, thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to. Will I list all these books down below? I don't know, because I DNF'd them, maybe, who knows. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay blessed, hydrated, moisturized, and sunscreen, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.